If you're a founder, you know that fundraising is a big part of the job. What you might not know is that Carta is there to help. Carta's new fundraising suite provides startups of all stages the best tools and support to easily issue safes, accurately forecast dilution, and quickly close funding rounds. Save time, money, and make your next round your best yet. To learn more or to get started, go to carta.com/fundraise. That's carta.com/fundraise. Welcome to Inks for Starters with Alexa Von Tobel. I'm Alexa, a serial entrepreneur myself and founder and managing partner of Inspired Capital, a venture firm that backs fearless founders who are solving some of the biggest challenges facing humanity. Now in our 6th season, we sit down each week with one of the best founders on the planet to hear their story of guts, inspiration, and drive. Let's dive right in. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Alexa Von Tobel, and this week I'm excited for you to meet my friend, Jes Wolfe, CEO and chairwoman of Rebel Girls, a global multi-platform empowerment brand dedicated to helping raise the most inspired and confident generation of girls through content, experiences, products, and community. I'm especially excited to have Jess on as Rebel Girls just published my first kids' book, Money Matters. Rebel Girls includes a growing community of 20 million self-identified Rebel Girls. Spanning more than 100 countries, more than 8 million books have been sold in 49 languages and 18 million audio listens. Under Jess's leadership, Rebel Girls has expanded its offerings to include the Rebel Girls app, a premier digital destination, digital and physical events, as well as merchandise. Prior to joining the Rebel Girls team, Jess was the COO of Hoodline, a hyper-local media tech company, which grew to 30 employees before selling to Nextdoor. Previously to her time in the startup world, Jess worked for over a decade at a variety of strategy and finance roles at Morgan Stanley, the Boston Consulting Group, and the International Finance Corporation and private equity portfolio companies. She has done project work in 25 countries and 6 continents. Jess is an active angel investor and advisor to a number of startups. She currently holds a portfolio of more than a dozen companies, all of which include women on the founding team. She holds an MBA from Stanford's Graduate School of Business and a bachelor's degree in economics and political science from the University of California, Berkeley. And with that, let's welcome my friend, Jess. Hi, Jess. Thrilled to have you here today. Before we dive in and talk about Rebel Girls and what you built and the brand that you're building, I want to take just 2 minutes because obviously we teamed up to write a book, Money Matters by Alexa Von Tobel, a Rebel Girls book around financial literacy, to play offense for young women, not only in this country, but in other countries around the world. Talk to me a little bit about why you approached me, why you wanted to do it, and how you feel about the book.
So I approached you, Alexa, because you are an expert and a mom of girls and a Girl Scout troop leader and you understand money and you understand girls and you have huge amounts of energy towards all of these things, towards girl empowerment, towards financial literacy and matters, and making this world a way better place. So that's why I approached you, why I wanted to do the book. Only 30% of women are financially literate, which is a crime. Money is power. Money is confidence. I want girls to be powerful. I want girls to have confidence. I want girls to be independent. I want girls to make really smart decisions. On a very personal level, my father and my grandfather taught me to invest when I was in high school, and that's made a world of difference to me and my career and what it's allowed me to do. And I think if we can teach more girls about that earlier, imagine the possibilities that we could create together in the future, and how many more businesses can be funded and how many more problems could be solved.
I love it. And I will just say we are 10 days into the pub date, but I have a prediction, which is I think there's a zeitgeist movement that's happening around kids and money that our book together unleashed. I am seeing something happen that I really am so proud of, which is I think parents appreciate that you can help your kid play offense simply by teaching them about money. And this book, Money Matters, is such a simple vehicle to do that. So now, Jess, I want to transition to Rebel Girls. First things first, what is Rebel Girls in your own words?
So Rebel Girls is a global girl empowerment brand. We're on a mission to raise the most inspired and the most confident generation of girls today. And we want all girls, regardless of their race, their location, their passion, etc., to see themselves reflected in our storytelling as the heroes of tomorrow so that they can dream big and we want them to be the stars of their own story. And then our ask is quite simple: change the world, make it better. And we do this through content, through products, through experiences, and through community building. And I came into this brand about 5 years ago. I met one of the co-founders, Elena Favilli, and spent a few days skiing with her and learning about the business, and just fell in love with the mission of this company and what it wanted to do, with the representation, with the potential, and with just how important it is to raise this generation of girls to be confident, successful, empowered, because we have a big task for them ahead.
Jess, you obviously graduated from Stanford Business School. You have huge aspirations for your career. What was it like stepping in the role of CEO in April of 2020? I can't fathom stepping into a new role April of 2020. What was that like, and what went through your head, and what did you do?
Well, fortunately, I became the CEO when I closed our first round of funding. So thankfully, we had some money to do some things when the world was changing in such a big way that it was changing in. We had 3 books at the time, that was total. And in April in 2020, every single bookstore across the entire planet had closed down and shuttered its doors. So that was that. And I had 3 goals at the time. First was, how could we support our audience? How can we support girls at this very, very scary time when they were being stuck at home and it was early days of a pandemic and no one knew which way was up? And so very, very quickly, we launched Rebel Girls at Home, and we made our 3rd book free. We had 20,000 people within the first, I think, few days download this book, which was a journal. I'm a Rebel Girl journal. And we were starting to think of more and more ways that we could help girls navigate this super scary time. So that was the first thing. The second was, how quickly could we get into digital since all the bookstores had shut down? And how could we lean more into our podcast and what other ways digitally we could reach our audience? And the third thing was our team. How do I manage this team? How do I organize a team all virtually? How do we inspire this team? How do we, as humans that are also scared and going through this, come together and continue the work to move forward?
You have a big, big, big goal with Rebel Girls, which is that you want to reach 100 million Rebel Girls by 2030. How do you think about the current chapter of your business, and how do you get there?
More is the answer. More content, more partnerships, more stories, more mediums. You'll see us do a lot more digitally because we can reach more girls that way in more languages and more formats. We leverage our partnerships and our coalition and the community that we're building in a very, very, very big way to do this. So we reach girls on our own channels, but we also reach girls via brands like Nike or Google or Hatch that we partner and create amazing content with and leverage their audiences and their distribution channels. We reach more girls with our partnerships with amazing women like yourself or Joan Jett or Kit Delorier to create products and content and experiences. And we are leveraging new platforms too. So we're now on a whole bunch of different airlines. We've gone into the metaverse. We're kind of trying to meet girls everywhere they are, regardless of which platform they prefer.
I love that so much. Let's talk a little bit about publishing. Random House as an investor, you're inside the publishing world. How do you think about disrupting the category, which I've spoken a lot in my life about? The publishing world is still so archaic. How do you think about mixing that up and changing that and involving that?
Rebel Girls was self-published as its first, our first 40 books were self-published. So that in and of itself, I think, is disruptive, which is, we said, we know this audience, we're going to do this kind of content and we're going to publish it ourselves. We've now partnered with Penguin Random House on our agenda, which I think is amazing. They're the biggest and the best publisher in the world. And so that is an even bigger platform to reach more. They have a huge, huge, huge network and reach and know how to do it, and have improved our supply chain orders of magnitude as well. But I think the disruption needs to come from the audience and this deep community that we have and how we work with girls for everything we do. And so when we think about books, even the way we come up with the books that we want to create is from girls and from their parents, and understanding what their main pain points are and understanding the challenges they're facing and their hopes and dreams and what they're interested in learning about or exploring or need to see. And so much of what we do is really to super serve a very specific audience with very specific pain points versus I think more traditional publishing can come at it from different perspectives and different lenses.
If you fast forward and look at the next 5 years, 10 years, how do you think of how AI is changing the publishing category? How do you process that?
I think AI is going to change all forms of media in ways we can guess and in ways we can't guess. I think AI is going to allow more creators to create faster, more efficiently. I think that's also going to allow younger creators to enter and create more and more content earlier on, which will be really interesting in the children's space because you're going to just have younger and younger authors, as you will, or creators in different formats. I think AI is also going to allow for different types of storytelling, whether it's publishing, audio, video, AR, VR, gaming, the next and the next. I think AI is also, from a publishing perspective, going to allow for multiple languages to come out very quickly in many different formats. And so you'll be able to reach wider audiences in a much shorter time frame. I still think that creators at the end will be the heart and soul of what gets created and published and the storytelling, but they'll have these tools that will allow them to do a lot more faster.
I couldn't agree with you more. Jess, Rebel Girls is obviously a deeply mission driven company. I know you and I are going together to Birmingham, Alabama this week to be in Alabama to talk about empowering young women and how important that is. By the age of 6, girls begin to think that they are less smart and less capable than boys, which absolutely breaks my brain and is something that I'm here to be your teammate to fix. Yeah. Talk a little bit about the Rebel Girls mission and how storytelling can change that trajectory.
Yeah. The newest stat says that 57% of 5th and 6th grade girls do not believe that they're smart enough to pursue their dream career. That number has increased by 2.5x in the last 7-8 years. So storytelling is, one of the most tried and true mechanisms and ways for kids and quite honestly all humans to learn. It's so important. And if we think about confidence and the confidence to do things, what stories are you reading, watching, listening to? And what do they tell you about your place in the world? And that is where I think we can be incredibly intentional, which is creating storytelling that tells girls that they have every place in the world they could ever possibly imagine and that they can do it. And so we have two main kind of lines, franchises, as you will, of storytelling. We have our Goodnight Stories, which tells the stories of real life, amazing women from every walk of life, every country, every language, every background. And by telling their stories, we show girls, here are role models. Here are women who look like you or who have the same interests of you. Here were the challenges they faced, and here's what they did, and they succeeded, and you can too. And then we have our second franchise, which is Growing Up Powerful, which gives girls real life tools, whether it be learning about their body or learning about friendships or financial literacy, which is the book that we partnered on. But here are these tools that they can have to navigate their lives, to master their lives, to feel confident in their lives, that they can do the next thing and that they can succeed.
A few more quick things on Rebel Girls, Jess, which I know your ambition, 100 million Rebel Girls by 2030, which is a big one. You have now sold millions of books in over 110 countries. How have you approached go-to-market and building such a robust global community of your readers? I mean, you not only are a book publisher in a modern world doing content digitally in all of these amazing ways, but you're building a community around your books, which is really unique and special. And frankly, a modern, very smart way to think about publishing. Tell us more.
So partnerships are huge for us, for go-to-market and for community building and coalition building. We've published in 50 different languages. And so we've partnered with a local publisher in each language that helps us not just translate the books, but localize them, reach more audiences in a very, very holistic way. And so we really lean on our foreign translation partners to help us do that. Then I'd say the women in the books. Those are key. Every time someone is in a new book, we send them a welcome package to Rebel Girls and books and invite them into the brand. We think that they are role models. We think that they are inspirational, and we want them to do more, and we want to provide a platform for them to reach more and more girls. So that's a big part of the coalition. And then I'd say we invite other brands, for-profits, not-for-profits, organizations to be a part of this. So to me, this is a team effort. It's a community effort. Our go-to-market reflects all of that. And also our audience and our girls and the parents and all of those who love girls and want to support them. And how can they be a part of the brand? How can they help shape what we're doing and help evangelize it?
I love that, Jess. You announced funding led by Giant Penguin Random House, who I also published my other books with. So you've been backed by the big incumbent, yet you are very forward leaning in how you think about running your business. You have expanded on so many channels, audio, the metaverse. How do you think about pushing boundaries as a publisher?
I think we have to. I think the future is change. And as a nimble player, we get to try a lot of things, and we have the luxury of trying a lot of things. And our relationship with Penguin Random House is pretty awesome. They basically have said, we know how to get books, distribution, and the creation of them in an amazing way. And we say, awesome. And they are looking at us to try all these new things and teach them and share the learnings of what works and doesn't work. And so they encourage us to push a lot of boundaries and to really help shape the future. And it's been a really lovely partnership.
I love that. Jess, as a mother of three, as someone who really appreciates the value of the brand that you're building, what advice would you have from all of the research, all of the data science, all of the experts that you have worked with? What advice would you pay forward to parents on what they can do for their kids to empower them?
Few things. First, superpowers. Find that superpower that your daughter has, cultivate it, encourage it, help her get confidence through being great at something. And that could be a sport, that could be math, that could be bugs, that could be drawing, whatever that is. The second thing from all the data shows is sports is really, really important. And girls who play sports have way more confidence and way more body confidence than girls who don't play sports. And the third thing I'd say right now is prolong social media as long as you possibly can. Encourage non-social media interactions with their peers in the world for as long as you can.
Amen. 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 Keep them reading. Keep them in real life. I love that so much. And we'll be right back after a message from our sponsors. Alexa here. Not only do I get the opportunity to speak with all types of founders on For Starters, but I'm a repeat founder myself. We all know how vital fundraising is to a startup. Carta knows this too. That's why they had founders in mind when they created their fundraising suite, providing tools and support to take the friction out of fundraising. They save founders time and money, allowing you to focus on your goals, not the admin work needed to close a round. From simply issuing safes to quickly receiving funds, Carta Fundraising Suite helps their cap table customers raise a better fundraising round. To learn more or to get started, go to carta.com/fundraise. That's carta.com/fundraise. Jess, we're going to transition to you. You've said that your first career chapter was really about learning as a banker, as an investor, and a consultant. And here you are now, an entrepreneur in all ways. Did you always think you would end up here? Does where you are today all make perfect sense in the rearview mirror?
No, I didn't even know that this profession existed when I was growing up. I lived in a real small town in Oregon, and I didn't know, business was even a major in school or something you could study. I didn't know what investment banking was back then, or consulting, or entrepreneurship. None of those things were on my radar. So this was definitely not all planned.
Jess, I know you grew up in Oregon, which is awesome, by the way. Oregon is beautiful. I want to go back to your childhood. And as somebody who now thinks so much about childhood and empowering childhood, you've had a really successful career and are now at the helm of this world-changing content company. Is there something from your childhood that you give a lot of credit to helping you be here where you are today?
Swimming. Swimming did that for me.
Tell me more.
I used to swim 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. That was my whole everything. Swimming taught me about making really, really big, audacious goals and using those big goals to get up at 4:45 every single morning to go do something hard. Swimming taught me about failure and how you fail again and again and you get up again and again. Swimming taught me about teamwork and how things are a lot better when you do them with other people. Swimming took me to a lot of different places and showed me a lot of different parts of the world and different people. And swimming gave me the confidence to achieve and to try new things and to do hard things. And my whole life has been a series of trying hard things, setting big goals, getting up, showing up again and again and again, failing again and again and again, and persevering. And I really don't think I would be in the position today if I hadn't had such robust training and all of that growing up.
Jess, I'm like smiling massively here because I was a diver. I mean, swimming and diving is a pretty brutal sport, right? It's like the 5 a.m. start time, the second pool time, 5, 6 hours a day, traveling around the country. I just love that we just connected those dots. That's amazing. You have this quote that I really love of yours, which is control is an illusion. You've said that it is critical to stay extremely nimble. How do you practice that in theory every day at work?
Yeah. So usually that comes into play when things aren't going quite as well as you'd hoped, when there's a little bit of a wrinkle.
Amen. Amen.
And sometimes that wrinkle is a key person leaves the team. Sometimes a partnership falls through. Sometimes your books are stuck in a port and you can't make pub date because you can't get them out of a port. All of these things are wrinkles. And so being nimble is about being focused on the future. So deep breaths, number one, always deep breaths. And then being ruthlessly about how do I solve this problem? What are the opportunities that arise from this? What can I do to move, pivot, weave? And if I can't come up with those answers, I turn to my team or my advisors or my board or my friends. And if it's still quite daunting in that moment, I get a glass of wine and I go to bed. Because when you wake up the next day, everything is brighter and more ideas come to you. And you get to practice the art of figuring it out once again.
It's amazing that you just said that, which is when things are too overwhelming, you call the day quits. And I used to have that rule actually when I was building LearnBass, which is there are some days where so many bad things happen at one time and you're human and you're like, this is too many things in one day. I need to go home and go to bed. And I'll wake up and I'll tackle it tomorrow. But right now I just need to go home and call the day quits. Jess, how have you learned to manage stress? Because you're CEO running a business that's growing in 110 countries. How do you manage stress?
The fundamentals: sleep, sleep, and sleep. Early on in my career, I really didn't prioritize sleep enough. If I get more than 7 hours of sleep, I feel good. I'm ready to tackle the day. My brain works. And if I get less than 7 hours of sleep, I don't feel so good and I don't operate as well. Second thing is exercise. When I exercise, my body feels good. My brain is sharper. I'm ready to go. If I don't exercise, I'm not feeling as well. So like those are fundamental to me. And then it's about finding joy and finding as much joy as I possibly can in life, in the work, in what we do, in the sun shining. And that can be small joys or big joys. You know, my big joys are spending time outside and going on adventures. My small joys are, just cuddling my dog. It's around making sure your body feels good, your mind is sharp, and finding as much laughter, as much joy as possible.
I love that so much. Jess, I'm going to move to a quick fire round. I'm going to ask questions. I want to know the first thing that comes to your mind. What is your favorite interview question to ask people when you're interviewing them to join your team that gets to the heart of who they are?
I really like asking people what winning looks like for them. And so I want to know what winning looks like for them in joining Rebel Girls. What is it that they want to achieve? What is it that they're trying to accomplish? What is it that would really make them feel fulfilled and satisfied with how they're going to spend the next chunk of their time professionally?
I want to ask, what is a quote or mantra that you live by?
The best way to climb a mountain is one step at a time.
I like that a lot. What is one thing that you wish you knew before you started to run Rebel Girls?
Just one? I wish I knew a bit more about the publishing industry before I started Rebel Girls.
But that's probably why you're so good at disrupting it.
Maybe.
This is a big one, especially given what you do. What is a book that's had a material impact on your life?
Carly Fiorina wrote a book about 20 years ago about her time running HP. And it came out when I was very early in my career, maybe like year 1 or 2 post-college when I was investment banking. And it was one of the only books out there about a woman running a big company ever. And it was so inspiring to me, and it was so eye-opening to me. And it really gave me an example of someone who'd done it and broken barriers, and how she thought about building a business and strategy and culture and teams. And I think that book at that time in my career was profound.
I love that. And I totally know what you mean, because I was similarly always looking for female CEOs, and there were basically none when you and I were young. What is one pinch me moment as an entrepreneur to date? A moment where something happened at Rebel Girls that just really stuck with you and you went home and just couldn't imagine that it actually happened?
I think I get 2 kinds of pinch me moments. We meet parents and they tell us the impact that Rebel Girls had on their daughters. And some of those stories are so unbelievably touching and sweet and just make the world of difference. And I have lots of those stories. And then we have some other pinch me moments on the other side of some of these like really big celebrities that are like, I love Rebel Girls. You know, Drew Barrymore reads to her daughters Rebel Girls books and has told us that the way she parents is different because of our books, and like those kind of things too, from the different type of parent perspective. It's pretty pinch me.
I love that so much. Thank you, Jess. If you want to learn more, you can simply check out rebelgirls.com. You can find our book, Money Matters, everywhere books are sold. And you can join us next week for a new episode of For Starters with Alexa Von Tobel. Thank you so much.